investment. Other nations have shown us that when they invested, they were able to be the giants in the machine operations, the machine tool operations. So it's possible. It's within our reach, and it's all about reigniting the American dream.
Well, that reigniting of the American dream will be dependent upon two factors. That is the public, the small businesses, the entrepreneurs, putting together their businesses, and at the same time it's going to be dependent upon public policies. You mentioned education. For the last 2 years, the Democrats have been proposing and pushing a series of pieces of legislation to enhance the ability of Americans to go to school. The Workforce Investment Board, very, very important. I suspect that that was one of the programs that your plastic company took advantage of in retraining. Our Republican friends last year in the budget and in the appropriations tried to reduce the workforce investment, but we wouldn't have that, and we've been able to at least maintain it. We were able, on the Democratic side, to increase the Pell Grants so that kids can go to college. Now, I would hope they'd go to college to be chemical engineers, process engineers, and not financial engineers, which I discussed early on. But I think that if we can just continue to support the educational system, including such things as vocational education. We used to do vocational education in America. We let it go, and as it went, we saw more and more dropouts. So supporting the educational system. You mentioned, and I think we need to drive this point home tonight, and that is the research side of it. This is something, Mr. Tonko, that you know a great deal about. You headed up, as I recall, an organization in the state of New York that was specifically looking at how to enhance the research within the state. Share that, and then also share about our policies as Democrats for enhancing research.
Sure. Before my involvement here in the House of Representatives, I served as president and CEO of NYSERDA, the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority. And it was there that I got to see policy put into action. I had worked in the State Assembly, had represented the 105th Assembly District in the state of New York for nearly 25 years, the last 15 of which I served as Energy Chair. And so I got to see that energy policy put into action at NYSERDA, where there were very meaningful partnerships with the private sector, where they would retrofit machine operations, manufacturing assembly lines with energy efficiency outcomes. And number one, we're the most gluttonous user of energy as a commodity. And it's so important for us to become more resourceful. That should be a social, economic goal that is embraced by the nation. But beyond that, it saves money when we enable these companies to embrace these new technologies in a way that creates a more competitive outcome for them, especially as we move more and more to a global marketplace that is the competing ground. Also, in so doing, there were opportunities to invest in research. Now, not every story in research is a success story, but the wonderful outcomes, when they are a success story, produce the sort of savings of the environment, savings of our energy supply, and savings of the green, the dollars. Those are quantifiable benefits that ought to be encouraged by policy. And here what I see is this walking away. We had a hearing the other day on ARPA-E, on the Energy Department's programs that modeled themselves after DARPA with the Defense Department, that gave us a lot of strength for our military, that brought about the application of science and technology,
well, the Internet.
high tech.
The Internet came directly from DARPA.
Exactly. And
now,
all
DARPA is the Defense Research Agency.
Right. And ARPA-E is the mimicking of that in an advanced research area of energy. Now, we're going to sit there and battle over the of perhaps denying dollars to concepts like this when we found out at the hearing that it is expertly managed, very tight-fisted, very laser-sharp in its focus, and outstanding results. We should produce additional resources for a program like that that enables us to stay ahead of the curve. And that ought to be government's mission. If we're going to reignite the American dream, if we're going to do it through the support of small business, which is the economic engine of our recovery and our comeback scenarios, if we're going to do it by partnering with entrepreneurs who are the dreamers, who develop the ideas for the future that grow into job opportunities, if we're going to do it through a thriving middle class, that takes investment, it takes focus, it takes policy, and it's what we're asking to have done here. Reignite the American dream, create the ladders of opportunity, the ladders that build us to success. It happened in generations past. We saw it driven by groups that came here seeing this nation as the land of opportunity, a promised land. Why not bring that pioneer spirit back into front line of our thinking, front and center of our thinking, so that what we witnessed in the 21st Congressional District, in the humble beginnings of this nation, where my district was the donor area to the Erie Canal that inspired the birth of a necklace of communities called mill towns that became epicenters of invention and innovation, inspired a westward movement. That's what we can achieve here if we stay focused and we believe in reigniting the American dream.
The reigniting of the American dream is going to depend upon, once again, those small businesses out there, the entrepreneurs that are willing to take the risks, that are willing to take their concept and their idea and put it into a business. Along the way, the history of America, as you well described it with the Erie Canal, we can look at all of the other great industrial advances that have been made, has always been a partnership between the government and the individual companies and entrepreneurs that are out there. For example, the oil industry has enjoyed for more than a century over $13 billion a year of tax subsidies to encourage the production of oil. And it was an incredibly successful partnership between the government, not only with tax subsidies, but making the public lands available for the exploration and the extraction of oil over the last 100 years, creating the wealthiest industry in the world. Now, once an industry has matured, as has the oil industry, we should remove those subsidies and use those subsidies for the new industries that we need. We've